due to my lack of like action figures related to Civil War, I only have 3 really related to Civil War, and they're all on the same team. I'm Team Captain America, but all I have is this little not even real Iron Man. I have this Iron Man that goes to space. I have this black suited Spider-Man that his limbs come off with magnets, and I have this little statue for Black Panther. But I'm still Team Cap all the way. So Captain America Civil War. This was a movie that was... I remember when it was first announced on that press conference thing. I remember it was kind of hype because they showed a Serpent Squad. I remember that, or Serpent Team, or whatever, for Captain America, next Captain America film, which I thought was really odd. And then they're like, well, maybe, like, he's done with the press conference. He's like, maybe I want to change the title. And then he changes it to Civil War. I got a free popcorn bucket when I went to go watch the movie. And I remember watching it, and I went to go watch the movie recently. And I watched it, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, it's really good. It's not the best Marvel film. I'm still looking for what was the best Marvel film. And I lost my train of thought. What happened was, I got out of it, and this has been compared time over and over and over again since the movie's been released. Like what? Not even a week ago, like 5 days ago. 5 days ago. It's been compared to Batman vs Superman even before the movie came out. And now the movie did come out, I can tell you which one was a better film. It's obviously this one, because the other one sucked. And the movie Batman vs Superman sucked due to other reasons, which I might have to do a review now that I think of all the problems that happened with. This movie was great because it shows a lot what you can do with the film, and while you can't take away a lot of like twists you can and can't see coming, they're twists that you go, oh, okay, and then they go with it for a while, and then they do the ending that you don't really expect, but you do at the same time. It's an ending that's really weird because it leaves me satisfied, and it leaves me with the awe feeling. Like, I'm gonna do this up until like a certain time, and I'll put in the title what time it stops being spoilery, which is the time I kind of don't want it to be spoilery because I'm that kind of person. And so the ending's very weird. It gives me a weird feeling. It's not bad, it's really good because it tells me this can happen. Really? Not in real life. I mean this can happen as in I'll allow this to happen, because this can go two ways, and from the mid, like 85% of the film where you think, oh, it's gonna go this way, and I'm like, oh no, it's going back to that, which isn't bad and actually was really good. Again, if you don't care about spoilers or you already saw the movie, you can skip to you can keep listening for when I talk about spoilers in the film, which I will talk about extensively. And there's not a lot of spoilers. Like, a lot of the spoilers are just cool things. And I'm the guy who reads the comics. I mean, I have an encyclopedia up there. And when I read Civil War, I was like, this is kind of cool. And then there's a character who's in the film. And then there's a character who's not in the film. And there's two characters in the film. Everyone who needs to be in the film is in the film. And from especially the comics, I saw one character specifically who I will talk about in the spoiler section. One character specifically who is in the film is who was in the comics who did a major thing at the end, and then something happens, but I'll talk about that later. Everyone was phenomenal in this film. I liked a lot of the acting. I mean, there was still some sticks up people's butts, but that's not the point. I'm kind of getting tired of Iron Man or Tony Stark or Robert Downey Jr. kind of being a little snarky, even though that's his character, whatever. I mean, he doesn't need like a funny quip every 2 seconds, but he was still good. He's not saying he's a bad actor. I'm saying he's a really good actor. I'm just saying I'm getting tired of every 2 seconds he needs to be like quippy and snarky, which didn't happen as much in this film, considering the stakes that were raised, and there were raised stakes. But yeah, again, characters were really good. I thought not a whole lot of characters were going to get screen time, as much screen time. I didn't think Spider-Man was going to get a whole lot of screen time, even though everyone did. I personally didn't. I didn't think Vision was going to get a whole lot of screen time. I didn't even think Hawkeye was, and Hawkeye got the least amount, but he got a hefty amount too. Really, those were the only... Oh, and Ant-Man. Those are the only 4 characters who I thought these people weren't going to get a whole lot of screen time. Everyone was, like, worried that Black Panther wasn't going to get a whole screen time. I'm like, he's a center role in the whole plot. He's going to get a whole lot of screen time. And he gets, like, almost the most. Not all of it, but he gets just as much as, like, Cap and Iron Man, who the story obviously focuses around. He gets just about as much as the 2 main leads as a supporting role. And he was good. Everyone was really good at acting in their own roles, because they knew what they were supposed to act like as they were all in previous roles. Which gives me off to, like, the best part of the Marvel films, which this is where the bridge is to when it becomes spoiler territory. So when I'm done talking about the subject, I'll say spoilers now when I start talking about spoilers, but here's the bridge, really. Is my favorite part about this film is when you get all these characters, and a lot of them never even met, so it's everyone, like, going, oh, this is your power, mainly with, like, Ant-Man. More with Ant-Man, because Ant-Man is the guy who turns small, and the only person who's really known him is Falcon. And Falcon's the only person who knows what he can do. Even Captain America may or may not have really known. Which always felt cool, because I like seeing everyone's reaction to, oh, this guy can turn very small. That's kind of cool. Or there's a big thing that he does in the airport scene, which I will talk about, again, when we're doing spoilers, that he does. And that's not a pun. Or, like, Spider-Man especially going up to everybody and going, oh, so that's your power, you have wings, or the metal arm scene, which everyone's seen in TV spots, or just anything, really, because he's naive, which is good, which everyone was complaining he may be too young for the role, which he's not too young, he's just young, but that's good. It goes with his character a whole lot. He's young, he's naive, he's only has... Like, everyone's like, well, good thing they got rid of the origin story, which, in my opinion, was pretty good. A good idea. But the cool thing about it is he's still new. He's still fresh. This isn't like, oh, he's had these powers for 2 years. He's had them for, like, 6 months, which I thought was a cool... Like, you get your whole thing out of 2 lines, which now... Spoilers now. I guess. Because if you don't want spoilers, I'm just going to say go watch this movie now. There you go. Watch the movie now. Now we're going to talk about spoilers. So, a lot of the things start happening. It's going to be mild to big spoilers. And what starts happening is... He sums up his origin in, like, a couple of lines in this film. And none of them have to do with being bitten by a radioactive spider. First one is when he says, well, I've had my powers for like 6 months, which just got rid of 6 months. And the fact that there's no Uncle Ben, well, it says that Uncle Ben's dead. And that's also referenced in a line where he says, well, if I don't do anything with my powers, I feel like I need to do something, because every time if I don't do something, bad things happen. Or if I don't do anything, I let the bad things happen, which kind of means... could be hinting at, and could be said in the Homecoming movie, which is Spider-Man's standalone film, said that he didn't do anything, and that's why Uncle Ben's dead. Kind of like in the past two, like iterations of Spider-Man film have been, in which Peter Parker didn't stop the Crook from stealing, and that same Crook ends up killing Ben. Well, unless you count Spider-Man 3, but so he sums it up like that. That's where he finds Tony Stark, and Tony Stark comes with him, and it comes and finds him over in Queens, and and I thought Spider-Man was going to get a whole lot of screen time. He didn't get as much. He was like the second to last person to get the amount of screen time. Hawkeye being the person with the least amount of screen time. He was the second to not having it, and that's in which he's just like, here, we found him in Queens, and we show his conversation with everybody. And then we have him at the airport, which everyone's seen already. And then, yeah, that's about it, and that's where he kind of stops, and then he has his after-credit scene, which was okay for an after-credit scene. I thought it was okay telling me, oh, he's going to come back, which I've known, but it's just nice to feel like, oh, okay, now that he's a part of this universe that I've always wanted him to be a part of, but due to legal troubles he couldn't, I'm one of those people who actually understood that. And also the other after-credit scene in which Cap and Bucky go on the run, and now they're actually inside a fortress in Wakanda, which, if you don't know, is where Black Panther is, even though Iron Man doesn't know that Black Panther ended up being on their side. He's hiding them basically in Wakanda, which is kind of cool. And they put Bucky back down under, which Bucky is the center role, really. The thing that sets everything into motion is Bucky, because Bucky, again, this is spoiler, so he kills Tony Stark's parents, who I knew he did. I would know he did that from the first shot of this film, where it's like 1999. You don't need to know the date of his parents dying. You just had to know they died in a car accident. And when you see him pull up to the car accident, and he hits the side of the car with a metal arm, and they crash into a tree, and he takes the super soldier serum, like the Winter Soldier serum, inside of the car, you know what's going to happen. You know who's in the car. You just had to know those parts. And especially since, even when you watch the whole film, but not only that scene, but Iron Man's in the film, which gives a whole leeway to, oh, it's his parents, and to the fact that the first time you see Iron Man, he's giving off this new technology to MIT that lets him relive like kind of memories in like a Google hologram sort of way. So when I saw that part, I'm like, oh, well, obviously Winter Soldier killed his parents. So that happened. Not only that, but also with the beginning is, remember I said, like, a certain character who was in the comics who did a big thing at the end of the comics is in it, but something happens in the beginning? Well, in the beginning, Crossbones is there, which if you don't know Crossbones, he's Bruck Rumlow, the guy who, in Winter Soldier, got heavily damaged at the end. He's played by, I forget his name all the time. He comes back as Crossbones, which in the comics kills Captain America at the end of the Civil War arc, when Captain America gets arrested, which he does in the comics. And you can't blame me for thinking that. You can't blame any of us to think that. We all thought Captain America was going to die. Not even if you didn't read the comics, you knew or had a feeling he was going to die. Which, spoiler alert, of course, he doesn't die. But you can't blame me for thinking that. The two pivotal characters who need that scene to happen in the story arc that the thing happens in, you can't blame me for thinking, oh, Captain America's going to die. And he doesn't die because Crossbones dies in the beginning because he blows himself up, but Scarlet Witch lowers him or tries to get him out of the way, but she accidentally throws him out of a building that blows up a bunch of Wakandans, which is another reason why all this happens again, because of that thing that happens. And then it does this thing where it starts doing this thing where I hate to this film, but it fixes itself completely, in which two characters hate each other or need to kill each other because they have a misunderstanding. Like, for instance, what's his name? Black Panther. He thinks the Winter Soldier Bucky killed is the reason why the bombing at the UN happened, and that killed his father. So he wants to kill Bucky now. But later in the film, he learns to listen. Goes, oh wait, Bucky didn't kill him. This guy, the main villain, Hannibal Zemo, who turns everyone against each other, he did it, basically. He did it. And so when he finds out, instead of going to hunt down, he finds the truth, and he's like, oh, okay, and he fixes himself. He says, Bucky, I'm sorry, really, because I should have listened. And he finds the right guy, and he stops Hannibal Zemo from killing himself at the end, right when he got what he wanted, because I guess his wife and child died, and I guess Sokovia, where Ultron took place. That's only implied, really. So that happens, and then when I said the ending ends on the like weird note in which I liked it, and it feels weird, but I like it because it's that way, is because at the end of the film, the conflict doesn't stop between the two. It doesn't end. And what I mean by that is, Cap and Iron Man, it's not like in Batman vs. Superman, which the fight lasts 10 minutes, and then they're friends. They're still kind of against each other. I mean, at the end, he gets a phone from Captain America, who's like, if you really need me, or if the world's still in peril, and you can't just stop him, just call us, which is his group, who all get arrested at one point, but Cap breaks him out at the end. He's like, well, if you can't really save the world, just call us, really. And he gives him a little, like, those track phones. And I think that's kind of cool, because it shows you they're not going to be back together at the end like a lot of films do, like in Batman vs. Superman. They're going to be against each other still at the end. And when Captain America drops his shield to Iron Man, after Iron Man's defeated because Iron Man loses the fight, really, Cap drops the shield because Iron Man's like, that's my father's shield, he made that, and he just drops it because Captain America already won. And so that kind of and that's how the fight ends, really, and he just walks off with Bucky and they escape, which I liked, because if they got back together, I wouldn't be mad, but it wouldn't feel as different. And the fact that this is the way the film ended, in which the two aren't really friends anymore, like they're still on the opposite side of things, and they're still not hanging out, like Cap's still a fugitive at the end, along with the other people, like Ant-Man, Falcon, stuff. And that's something that I'm glad they did. It feels weird, but it feels a good kind of weird, which is good. And there's also, like, Ant-Man becoming big, and then Rhodes gets paralyzed from the waist down, which, in Rhodes, it's War Machine. Because Vision gets distracted, which he's never felt before. And Vision gotten a lot of screen time. Everyone, basically, except for, like, Hawkeye, right? Got enough screen time, which everyone was like going to complain if Black Panther didn't get screen time, because they were only going to complain if Black Panther didn't get screen time. And he got enough. And I'm glad of the way the movie ended. It shows how you can make a good film and a bad film from two movies that were superheroes against superheroes, and this one obviously came out on top. If I had to tell you what to do with this film, I'd tell you to go see it. If I were to give this film a rating, it'd be probably like a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect in any means. It still did things that kind of pissed me off. It took turns I don't want to do. I like the fight sequences that happened, which were great, especially, of course, the airport scene, because, like, how the fight went down. I'm glad Spider-Man's in the film now, and all my fears were put to rest. So, yeah. I'd tell you to go see this movie. I gave it 9 out of 10. And so, yeah. I still kind of want to do a review on Batman vs. Superman, though. Just to be topical. And I'm going to rip that movie a new butt hole. I guess. So I'm putting my Twitter down. I put my Twitch down. There, somewhere. Or depending on what angle your phone is, or if you're even on a phone, if you're on like a computer. All that jazz. Yep, that about sums it up. Team Cap.